Brother Michael Imhotep, as we talk about history and teaching history, and why the fight against history might be a fight that the state of Florida may not be able to handle. But take a look at, let me just share with you the latest about what Governor Ron DeSantis is doing, his administration is doing to prevent the advanced placement of African American studies from being taught in Florida schools. This is based off of a memo that he wrote, where he found that the information that was shared in these AP African American Studies classroom were not culturally valuable or relevant. Let me share with you. Take a look at this, folks. Then this is coming from the governor himself, and craziness as his administration rejects inclusion of AP African American Study class in Florida high schools. The administration of Republican Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida is blocking a new advanced placement course for high school students on African American studies. In a January 12th letter to the College Board, the nonprofit organization that oversees AB coursework, the Florida Department of Education's Office of Articulation said the course is inexplicably contrary to Florida law and significantly lacks educational value. Wow. The rejection of an advanced placement African American Studies course follows efforts by DeSantis to overhaul Florida's educational curriculum to limit teaching about critical race theory. Now, in 2021, the state enacted a law that banned teaching the concept, which explores the history of systemic racism in the United States and its continued impacts. The law also banned material from the 1619 Project, a Pulitzer Prize-winning project by the New York Times, to reframe American history around the arrival of slave ship on American shores. Last year, DeSantis also signed a bill restricting how schools can talk about race with students. Let me check in with Brother Michael Imhotep. Take a look at this headline here. He's rejecting AP African American Studies. The fight against history, Brother Michael. This is something this dude has been doing for a minute now.
Yeah, so this is the Florida Department of Education that is rejecting this AP course. So this AP course is a pilot program. It's being picked up by 60 schools across the country from the 2022-2023 school year. The letter had no name attached to it, so it's not clear if Governor Ron DeSantis wrote the letter, but the letter is coming from the Florida Department of Education. They informed the College Board, and the College Board is the nonprofit organization that administers AP exams, advanced placement exams. The Florida Department of Education said that it would not include this African American AP course, history course, in the state of California, in the state of Florida's course directory. So they did not state what was objectionable about the content of the AP African American course. Now, in 2021, the state of Florida enacted a law that banned teaching the concept the concept of critical race theory, which explores the history of systemic racism in the United States and its continued impacts. The law also banned material from the 1619 Project as well. So now it's also not clear if the state of Florida, if a school in the state of Florida, a high school in the state of Florida, was one of the pilot high schools also. Okay, so this is at the high school level. You have about 60 high schools across the country that are participating, will carry this AP course. So now we see that there's a renewed attack in the past 2 years, especially going back to 2020 when Trump was in office, and attacking African American history and rebranding what is called critical race theory. And that stemmed from an executive order from Donald Trump in 2020 that dealt with banning critical race theory being taught to government employees or being used at the government level. Okay, and then in it was about March of 2021, you had a guy named Christopher Rufo. He put out a tweet that talked about how they wanted to rebrand critical race theory, and they wanted it so that anytime somebody hears something crazy in the media about race, they automatically think critical race theory.
Right.
So what's happened is that you've had the right wing, you've had Republicans, you've had the GOP to rebrand what critical race theory is. Okay. And critical race theory basically is a legal analysis that deals with how it's a legal analysis taught in law school, taught in graduate schools, and a little bit in undergraduate. It deals with how laws and policies in this country, even after the civil rights movement, how African Americans have not been able to make the advances that they should have made, and the lasting impacts of racism in laws. Okay, so it's a legal analysis. It's not taught in K through 12. Okay, critical race theory is not taught in K through 12. Christopher Rufo, RUFO, is a tweet he did March 15th, 2021, and anybody can Google this. And he said the goal is to have the public read something crazy in the newspaper and immediately think critical race theory. We have decodified the term and will recodify it to annex the entire range of cultural constructions that are unpopular with Americans. Now, he's really talking about white Americans, okay? And all this is a backlash also to the Black Lives Matter movement, to the movement that really took hold after George Floyd was killed, things of this nature. All right. So now the problem is, now this is a well-financed campaign to distort what critical race theory is. They are backed by Fox News. They're backed by dark money. And if people just read the article, there was a 16-page expose from NBC News that came out July 15th, 2021, called Critical Race Theory Battle Invades School Boards with Help from Conservative Groups. And it talks about, they identified at the time 165 school-based groups. And what they do is they one of the things they do is they get white conservatives to run for positions on the school board. So then when they gain control of the school boards, then they can attack what they call critical race theory, but really restrict how African-American history and history of white supremacy and racism is taught in schools. Now, the problem is that for African-Americans and for those who are Democrats, what have you, there is not a well-financed countermeasure to deal with this. And that's one of the problems that we are experiencing.
Oh, no doubt. I want to first take a look at this, folks. Critical race theory.
That's it right there.
This is what Brother Michael was talking about. And our brother Brian Watkins, he's actually still on the call here. He actually taught history, which I did not know. So he's a history educator. I want to bring, let's bring him back on, Brian, if he's still on the call, because I would love to get his take on this from being in the classroom and looking at the implications of something like that. Brian, thank you again, brother, for staying a few extra minutes on this. But you taught history. You're in New York City. This is down in Florida. So what do you make of this situation?
It's interesting, but I mean, I'm honestly not shocked. Right? It's in Florida. Right? No shade to Florida. I'm not shocked because I don't understand how labeling something else when it's history, right? It's history. It's the history. If you're not proud of it, it's history.
Right.
Right. And it's the truth.
Right. So my thing is from the classroom perspective, right? When you see this type of pushback against history, I know some teachers who kind of go along to get along, but I know a lot more teachers, Brian, who are like, bump that. Black children need to know the truth. So if y'all fire me for teaching the truth, then so be it. Do you feel like that may happen in Florida?
Yeah. I'm going to tell you a little backstory. So initially when I went to college, I was information systems, computer science. I took a history class, a Black history class, which blew my mind. I said, why didn't I learn about this? It talked about Tulsa, Oklahoma. It talked about those type of communities. I said, how come I didn't learn about this in high school? How come I didn't learn about this? And it blew to the point where I switched my major. I majored in history, and I said, I want to get this word out. I want to teach, and have others know about this. And that's what I went on to do. And I mainly taught in New York, but for a year, I went down to Texas and I taught. Let me tell you something. Texas and Florida, they're right up there.
They're right up there, bro.
They're right up there. So I mean, I can say this now.
I think they're the next state that's probably going to do something like this.
Wouldn't be surprising. I could say this now. So in Texas, of course, they give you the curriculum. They tell you this is what you should teach them this week, that week, this week. So I walked into the classroom and I looked at it and I said, and look at the books, because what a lot of people don't realize too, books are very biased. You have to look to see who wrote the book, right? And one thing I used to teach my students is to be able to disseminate facts from opinions. Right? Because you have people opinions, whether you're a conservative, whether you're liberal, whatever it may be, that seeps into the book, right? That you could tell where they're leaning. You read the book, you could tell the type of person or, where their values lie by reading their textbook. So Absolutely. I used to say, look at the facts. And when I went into the classroom down in Texas, I said, we're only going to use this for reference. And I tossed the book and I said, I'm going to teach you. And I said, I'm never going to tell you my opinion, no matter what. I'm always going to be devil's advocate towards you because I want you to formulate your own opinion. I'm just going to give you the facts to do so.
So, Brother Michael, what is this like for a teacher or an educator like Brian in the state of Florida? Where does this effort put them? Because this puts them in a precarious position.
Absolutely. We've seen in a lot of these former Confederate states, Florida and Texas are two former Confederate states that seceded from the Union, took up arms to fight against the Union to maintain slavery. We see it in Oklahoma as well. There have been a number of especially former Confederate states who passed these anti-critical race theory bills, or however they want to frame them or name them. Now, the problem is that when you read them, they're very ambiguous. They're not clearly defined about what is not acceptable. And you have a lot of people saying, a lot of white people passing these laws saying, well, they don't, they're trying to ban things that make children feel bad or cause discomfort or things like this. Okay. Now, they're not banning World War I. They're not banning World War II. They're not banning George Washington, Thomas Jefferson. They're not banning white supremacists or like past presidents, things of this nature. Okay. But when it comes to African-American history, now we see a backlash because it's very hard to keep fooling a people when they know the truth.
Facts.
It's very hard to keep deceiving people when they understand history. And it's important not just for African-American children to understand this history, but for all children to understand this history, regardless of race. This is something Dr. Carter G. Woodson, who created Negro History Week in 1926 and co-founded Association for the Study of Negro Life and History in 1915. This is something he advocated because he had a PhD in American history from Harvard. Okay. And he said that school children across the country needed to learn this history. So once again, this is one of the reasons why I warned people about Governor Ron DeSantis in Florida. And I remember in 2018 when he ran against Andrew Gillum, and some simple Simon-ass black people on social media were saying they weren't going to vote for Andrew Gillum because he didn't have a black agenda. And I told them Ron DeSantis has a black agenda. He has an anti-black agenda. And an anti-black agenda is worse than not having a black agenda.
I gotta stop you right there.
Go ahead.
Just for the inches of time, but Brother Brian, we got like 30 seconds. I mean, for our people who are listening and watching this show, as an educator, been in the classroom, what would you encourage for parents and community members to do to resist this type of effort?
Let's start teaching our kids. Let's us start teaching them, because this is not for the current students now. This is going for the future generation, because now you don't teach it in the classroom. They grow up, they don't know anything that happened. And now they have a blank slate and they're like, they don't know their history. They did it to us already. Let's not let it continue. Let's teach our kids our history.
Brian Watkins checking in once again, giving us his insight and his latest thoughts about the situation down in Florida. Ryan, again, brother, thank you so much for all that you do, man. We look forward to reconnecting with you soon.
Of course, definitely. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. Brother Michael, we got 30 seconds. Go ahead with your,
yeah.
I know you got your programs, right?
Yeah, this weekend, Saturday and Sunday for the African History Network, January 21st, January 22nd, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. We have 2 free class sessions on Saturday, Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa. Scroll down some. Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, Understanding the Transatlantic Slave Trade, what they didn't teach you in school. And then scroll back up to the first class. And then Sunday, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m., from the Civil War to the Civil Rights Movement and Black Power, 1865 to 1968. We'll deal with the Harlem Hellfighters. Scroll back up to the first class. The Harlem Hellfighters will deal with World War I and the Red Summer of 1919, when you had over 25 major race riots in this country. Visit our website, theafricanhistorynetwork.com. You can register for these 2 free class sessions.
Absolutely. Brother Michael Imhotep, host of the African History Network podcast show. Thank you so much, Brother Michael. We truly appreciate
thanks, Raji. Okay, welcome. How's everybody doing today? Hotep, this is Michael Imhotep, founder of the African History Network and host of the African History Network show. I'm a talk show host, researcher, lecturer, writer, and historian. So I was on Faraji Muhammad's show, The Culture, today on January 19th, 2023. And at the end of the show, I made the announcement about 2 free online class sessions that I'm doing this weekend. Saturday, January 21st, 2023, we're doing another class session of my 16-week online course, Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, Understanding the Transatlantic Slave Trade, what they didn't teach you in school. And this would be a free class session. So if you've been wanting to take my online course in the past, where we deal with thousands of years of history and what leads up to the transatlantic slave trade taking place, you can join us for a free class session. Visit our website, theafricanhistorynetwork.com, theafricanhistorynetwork.com, and register for it. And then on Sunday, January 22nd, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're doing another session of the second 16-week online course that I teach. From the Civil War to the Civil Rights Movement and Black Power, 1800 to 1968. So this class on Sunday will be a free class session as well. You can visit our website, theafricanhistorynetwork.com, theafricanhistorynetwork.com, and you can register for these 2 free online class sessions. And we do the sessions live. All the sessions are archived and recorded. You can go back and watch them anytime and just click right here for a free class session and register for it. And so even if you missed the class live, you can go back and watch it anytime. Okay. And you can register for the full 16-week online course. It's on sale $60, regularly $130. Okay. Just click right here to register here for Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, Understanding the Transatlantic Slave Trade. And the second class that I teach on Sunday, January 22nd, and this is our normal. Normally, our second class is on Tuesdays, but I'm doing a special session this Sunday, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Click right here for the free class session as well, of from the Civil War to the Civil Rights Movement and Black Power, 1800 to 1968. And you can register here for the full class. So in our Sunday class, in this particular session, we're going to deal with World War I, which is 1914 and 1918. And we'll also discuss the Harlem Hellfighters, which is an all-black regiment in the U.S. Army, fighting in World War I. We'll talk about the Harlem Hellfighters, and we'll also talk about the Red Summer of 1919, where you had over 25 major race riots in the country, in Chicago, Atlanta, Arkansas, etc. And you had African-American World War I veterans who fought against racist mobs, white racist mobs, during the Red Summer of 1919. Okay, so we're going to talk about that on Sunday. In the class on Saturday, last class we started talking about Christopher Columbus and the history of Columbus. I shared excerpts from Dr. John Henrik Clark's book, Christopher Columbus and the African Holocaust, Slavery and the Rise of European Capitalism. So we'll get deeper into Christopher Columbus. and how Columbus and his 4 voyages helped to spread slavery, racism, capitalism, and the exploitation of indigenous people, and then also leads to the Asiento de Negros being signed by King Charles V in August of 1518, which drastically expands the transatlantic slave trade. Okay, and then we'll get into the development of the triangular trade and England getting involved in slavery in 1562, etc. Okay, so we're dealing with this in our class on Saturday, January 21st, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, Understanding the Transatlantic Slave Trade. You can register for these free class sessions. And even after the class is over with, you still have access to that free class session. You can go back and watch it as much as you want to. But you can also, we also have both classes in a course bundle. Okay, so you can register for both classes for only $100. That is at least a $260 value. So click right here for register here for the course bundle as well. Okay, so we have all that information right on the homepage of our website, theafricanhistorynetwork.com, theafricanhistorynetwork.com. So when you scroll down, it has the information about my radio show, Sundays, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m., the African History Network show on 9:10 a.m. the Superstation WFDF here in Detroit. We also broadcast on our social media platforms when we're live on Facebook, the African History Network, YouTube, Michael Imhotep, and the Michael Imhotep Show also on Facebook. We have a PayPal and Cash App information here, so you can support us as well. We definitely need your financial support. This information here is about the Happy Day of Excellence taking place Saturday, February 4th. 2023, 1 p.m. to 8 p.m. in New York City. Professor James Small, Professor Kabahaya Watha Kamene will be there speaking, 2 of my teachers. So click right here for more information and to register and to purchase your ticket. You can also live stream the event as well. And then we have the information here for the courses. Okay, right below that, the course bundle as well as the individual classes. If you've taken any of my online classes in the past that I've been teaching going back to 2017, email us for a 50% discount on the course bundle. Email me at ahnshow@theafricanhistorynetwork.com, ahnshow@theafricanhistorynetwork.com, or you can email me right through the website. At the top of the page, just click on Contact the African History Network. All right. So with these online classes, I developed a curriculum for them. I've been studying, I'm a historian. I've been studying history 31 years. And Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, I've been teaching that going back to 2017, on and off since 2017. Very briefly here, if we just look at a brief overview of the class, and let me pull this up here. So I do a PowerPoint presentation. We have book references, articles in the class, also share some interviews I've done with some of our scholars as well. Okay, so in the, let's go to the PowerPoint presentation. Okay, so I developed the curriculum, I developed the PowerPoint presentation for both of these courses. Okay, so we can't start studying our history and slavery even when we study the transatlantic slave trade, which is important to study. We can't start in 1619 or the 1440s when the Portuguese get involved, like 1441, when the Portuguese get involved in the transatlantic slave trade. We have to understand the history chronologically and deal with the 800-year occupation of Europe by the Africans known as the Moors, who enter into the Iberian Peninsula, today known as Spain and Portugal, from North Africa in 711 AD. This course not only deals with the transatlantic slave trade, but it also deals with thousands of years of history that leads up to the transatlantic slave trade taking place, the transatlantic slave trade of African people taking place. August 20th, 2019 marked the 400th year anniversary of the 20 and odd Africans who came into Point Comfort in, really it was Hampton, Virginia, on August 20th, 1619, in what would be called the colony of Virginia. Okay. And one of the things we do within the class is how a lot of what we know about 1619 is false. All right. And codified slave laws didn't even exist in any of the 13 colonies when those 20-odd Africans from Angola came in 1619. But also African people have been in the land we call the United States of America going back at least 51,700 years. So this year was known as the Year of Return, as many African Americans were and continue to reconnect to Africa. And they were traveling to Ghana and other West African countries. When we discuss the transatlantic slave trade, we have to first understand that African people are the original people of North, Central, and South America. And we have been in the land we call the United States of America going back at least 51,700 years. Now, this does not mean that the transatlantic slave trade did not happen. That's not what I'm saying. What we have to understand is that African people have been in this land we call the United States of America, or what Native Americans call Turtle Island. We've been here going back tens of thousands of years before we were told that we came here. Okay, so we have to understand the difference. We did not first come to this land conquered and shackled and chained by Europeans. Okay, and that is mentally damaging for people to believe something like that. They first came to this land, conquered and shackled and changed. No, this was actually our land stolen from us. And one of the books that we use in the class is Dr. David Imhotep's book, The First Americans Were Africans, Documented Evidence. Okay. And he's a friend of mine. I've interviewed Dr. David Imhotep a number of times. And so some of you have seen the interviews, have heard the interviews that I've done with him. And this was his first book, The First Americans Were Africans, Documented Evidence, which came out in 2011. And his new book, The First Americans Were Africans, Revised and Expanded, came out in 2021. And page 14 of his book deals with the discovery made in Allendale County, South Carolina, by Dr. Albert Goodyear, who's an archaeologist at the University of South Carolina. This discovery was made in 2004 that documents an African presence in the Georgia, South Carolina area going back at least 51,700 years. And they found 13 different types of evidence, documenting this African presence. They found artifacts, architecture, campsites, carvings, Egyptian writings, footprints in lava, genetic M174D haploid groups dealing with DNA and genetics, linguistics, painting, skulls, skeleton structures, and tools. All right. So we get deep into this information in the class. So that's on Saturday, January 21st, 2023, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. Kemet is one of the original names for Egypt. And the Ma'afa is a Kiswahili term, which is in reference to the Great Disaster, which is the transatlantic slave trade. So visit our website, theafricanhistorynetwork.com, theafricanhistorynetwork.com to register for these free class sessions for both classes. And you can register for the full class, which you can also use with your children. I would say the content is PG-13. It's very visual. We have a text chat in the class so you can ask questions. You can see me. I can't see you. We have book references, articles, video clips, and for the books, usually I show you the text of the pages that we're looking at on the screen, so it's very engaging as well. Okay, all right. So watch out for me on Roland Martin Unfiltered on Fridays on the Black Star Media Network, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. I'm a panelist on Roland Martin Unfiltered. I'm not just a historian; I'm a political commentator as well. You can watch on Facebook and YouTube, Roland Martin on Facebook and YouTube, or download the Black Star Media app. And then also usually on Mondays, I'm on Faraji Muhammad's show, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Black Star Media Network as well. And then my show, the African History Network show, Sundays, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on 9:10 a.m. the Superstation WFDF here in Detroit. But we also broadcast on our Facebook fan page, the African History Network, the Michael Imhotep Show, and my personal page, Michael Imhotep, as well as on my YouTube channel, Michael Imhotep, IMHOTEP. You can download the iHeartMedia app and search for 9:10 a.m. Superstation and listen live, or the iTunes Radio app and listen live. And you can listen to our audio podcast wherever you get your podcast from. Search for the African History Network show. We're on iHeartRadio, iTunes, Castbox, FM Player, TuneIn, a number of different audio podcast platforms. Okay. All right. And if you like this type of information, you can support the African History Network, $ the AHN show through Cash App, $ the AHN show through Cash App. Also through PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN show. So this helps us keep doing the research, stay on the air, keep broadcasting, pay some of the bills, pay for these various services that I use, purchase more equipment, upgrade the laptop, etc. Okay, so we definitely appreciate and need your support. If you want me to do special customized classes, email me through the website, theafricanhistorynetwork.com, about that. And we could do group classes if you want it for your church, study group, organization, etc. If you want shorter classes, instead of this time around is 16 weeks. Normally this is a 12-week online class, but if you want a 6-week class, 8-week class, etc., email me at theafricanhistorynetwork.com. We can set that up. And African American History Month is coming up. Black History Month is coming up. I have fantastic presentations for Black History Month, dealing with the origins of Black History Month, dealing with also what the annual theme of Black History Month is as well. This year's annual theme is dealing with Black resistance for African American History Month, and I have some powerful content dealing with that. Okay. All right. So remember, right now is correct. Wrong behavior is not over till we win. Wakanda forever. And we'll talk to you.